right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Teaching Assistantship Psychology Opportunity Showcase session. We are, gosh, I think we are on our, let's see here, 13th or 14th session. Several of you have been coming throughout, and I am very impressed. I am Dr. Maria Carla Curella, and I'll be taking charge of the undergrad teaching assistantship session for today. But with me, I have some valuable people to back me up here. I have Allie and Nick and Victoria and Raven, who are all TAs for different faculty members and can give you the inside scoop of what they do and how it's like across different faculty members in the TAing and the classes and the responsibilities that you have. So one thing I'll just start off with very briefly is that I'm going to share my screen here a second so you can all take a look at website. So on the Department of Psychological Science website, if you go to undergraduate programs and if you go to undergraduate opportunities, we list out all the different opportunities that we've been featuring this week in the showcase. And one of the one I want to focus on is the undergraduate teaching. So I'm just going to say a few words about the requirements and the process, and then I will turn it over to the students in terms of that are the actual TAs, and also by all means ask questions, students that are listening in and wanting to find out more about it at any point. So the undergraduate teaching assistantship, basically it is a 3-credit, it counts as a 3-credit class. It's 3808. The prerequisites are a psychology major, junior standing, overall GPA of 2.75 on up, psychology GPA of 3.0 and above. And again, and I think this last one is important, preference is given to students who have previously taken the class and successfully completed it, right, for which they want to assist. So those prerequisites, I would say, are a good guideline. They're not necessarily hard and fast because sometimes you may have a faculty member reaching out to you and saying, you know, you did well in this class. I enjoyed you having you in this class. Would you like to TA for me? So this is kind of a two-way street, and we can make some exceptions to some of those guidelines there. And then finally, for how it officially works is that the instructor for the course, okay, will send you a permit to register for the 3808. And I'm making that point because a lot of students that TA for the first time get confused and think that they need to sign back up for the class that they took previously. You're actually signing up for the TA credits, and the permit is for the TA credits. So that's just something to keep track of as you go through this process. So let's see here. And one other thing I do want to say, I guess, is to emphasize this point of that you ideally want to have taken that class and have done well and know the professor. Occasionally I get emails from students that say, can I be a TA for you? And I've never had them in class, in any class, and you know, just don't know them as a student. If I don't know you as a student and I haven't taken you and you haven't been in my class and took it successfully, I'm probably not as inclined to think about you versus someone else that I'm more familiar with as having taken my class. So, and I will point out that Nick is actually representing me for TAing. Nick, you've done this now, I'm trying to think, officially you're on your second semester, yes?
2 semesters, no.
2 semesters. And you have, and Nick, we may a little bit, and Nick has TA'd for, let's see here, goodness. I think I've had you do double duty across, since my TAs don't have a ton of work to do. I have them TAing for a couple of classes at a time sometimes, and Nick is one of those people. So he has taken both adulthood and aging, and he TAs for both adulthood and aging. And that's pretty manageable just because of that I don't have a whole lot of work for my TAs to do other than just kind of good backup help for my students and that sort of thing. But I think I'm going to let the rest of you talk a little bit. And we have Angel Rogers with us now too, who is also one of who has TA'd, maybe just to start, if each of you can say, let's see here, who the professor you have TA'd for or are TAing for, and what class, and maybe how many semesters, and then we can open it up for some more questions. Allie, do you want to start?
So I was a TA for Dr. Andrew Case last semester, so spring semester, which was interesting. So I got a half and half experience. Half of it was normal in person, and then the other half of it was online after we all got sent home. And I TA'd for his health psychology class. So I took that in the fall of 2019, and then I TA'd for him in the spring of 2020.
Okay, great. And did he reach out to you, or you reached out to him?
Yes, he did. He approached me and asked if I would be his TA, and which I would not have even known. In the semester that I took his class, he didn't have any TAs because I think he took a semester off from having TAs, so I didn't even know he had them normally. So he was the one who approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to be my TA next semester?"
Yeah, okay, great. And that's something to keep in mind too a little bit. Sometimes as we change our classes or different things come up in our schedules and things like that, we'll have more or less TAs. I kind of do the same, that some semesters I'll have more, some semesters I'll have less. It just kind of depends on the classes that I'm teaching that semester. So, okay, good. So thank you, Allie. Nick, do you want to go next? Or I kind of said you, Nick.
Yeah.
Have you,
So,
have you TA'd for anybody else?
no, just for you.
Okay, and did I forget anything? I don't think so.
No, I mean, this is my second time doing TA for adolescent and my first time for adulthood and aging.
Oh, that's true.
I will say the main difference is that the first time I did adolescent, that's when the world was normal, and now we're in the online setting. So it's been two very different experiences for me.
Yeah, that's true, Nick. And actually you got caught, one of your official semesters was the half semester too, right? Yeah.
Yes, we did have to make that
Yeah, I may
transition.
follow up on all of you about that distinction. Raven, do you want to talk a little bit about your TAing experience?
Yeah, so this is the first semester that I'm a TA, and I'm a TA for industrial organizational psychology, taught by Dr. McGonigal. I took her class last semester. We started out in person and then everything went online, so it was kind of a mess across the board, but I finished that class with an A. So when I was doing my schedule for the fall, I saw that she still had one position open for a TA, and I emailed her to see if she would want me, and she said yes. So I've been TAing for her this semester, and I really enjoy it, even though everything being online comes with its own set of limitations, and it's just different. I feel like I would have had a different experience or we still in person, but it's still great. I enjoy it.
Oh, great, good. And again, a good example of kind of keeping an eye out on Banner and signing up for classes and making that jump. So good catch for you. Yeah, absolutely. Victoria, do you want to go next? And then Angel will finish up with you.
Yeah, so currently I'm TAing for Miss Godly Reynolds, and I actually TA'd for her last semester, and then the semester before that I took her class. So I've always TA'd for child psychology. It was interesting to me because I'm just really interested in that area of psychology. But she reached out to a few students that were doing well in her classes saying like, hey, I'm looking for new TAs. If you're interested, email me back, let me know why. And I got to interview with her and everything, and I TA'd last semester, so it was pretty normal. It was a little different, like everyone's saying, especially even like having office hours in the library versus online and things like that. But I still really enjoy it. It's really interesting to see the different side of a class and doing the grading and all of that and kind of appreciating it that way. But yeah, just try to participate in your classes that you think maybe I want to TA for them. Try to participate in class, even though it's over Zoom. And yeah.
Great, Victoria. Angel, you want to tell us about who you TA for and how long and how you went about engaging with that TA-ship?
Yeah, so I've done 3 TA things with 3 different professors.
Wow.
So the first one was Messenger for Research Methods 1, which I actually took with Allie. So I did well, and like I just was always actively participating in class, and so I reached out to her and asked if she needed any TAs, because she had a TA currently, so I figured she probably would need some. And so I just kind of got started that way. And then the next semester I reached out to, and while I was TAing for that class, I had McGonagall with Raven. And so we all kind of like participated in class. And so I reached out to her as well, because I really like IO psychology, and that's kind of what I'm trying to pursue. So I ended up TAing for her. And then I had reached out to her to ask if I wanted to be an RA in her lab to do an honors thesis for her. But she didn't have the room and didn't think that like it was a good fit. So she recommended Dr. Blanchard. So I reached out to her. And so I TA'd over the summer for Dr. Blanchard. So I've done like normal in-class TA, I've done over the summer TA, and I've also done just COVID TA like this semester.
Yes, COVID education, we're all there. Right. Well, so great. So, I mean, you can hear that it's a number of faculty do look for students and do, what was I going to say? Yeah, are eager to look for students to help us with our classes and that sort of thing. I think what's maybe helpful to hear a little bit now, and I mean, students, if you have questions, please chime in. But maybe if you all could talk about, and I mean, any one of you can jump in, can talk about some of your responsibilities, because the responsibilities vary from class to class in terms of whether you need to attend the class or not, whether you grade or not, whether you enter grades, whether you grade writing assignments. There's quite a bit of different opportunities, right? So yeah.
So
I grade discussion posts. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
oh,
off.
you're good. You're good.
I grade discussion posts. Most of the time, the students have a weekly discussion post and reply that they have to do. Some weeks they don't. Usually on exam weeks, they don't have a discussion post due. So I grade those, and I also hold office hours, and I just make sure that if some people aren't turning in work and it's been going on consistently, I just reach out to them, make sure that they're okay, and see if there's anything that I can help them with.
Excellent. Victoria, do you want to go ahead a little bit?
Yeah, so for me, for both semesters, I've done a lot of grading and office hours, but specifically this semester, me and the other TA for the class I'm working with right now, we've helped come up with the rubrics for assignments, including exams and papers and things like that. So we go through, you'll be assigned, or at least I'm assigned, like a certain amount of students, and I have a list. So I grade those exams or discussions and things like that. And then I just hold office hours virtually right now. So it's about just an hour a week, which isn't bad. Last semester, you could pick where you wanted to hold them. So I just held them in the library. But yeah, mainly just grading. I meet, this semester it's a little different since we can't really meet in person. But I meet with the other TA and the professor about once a week or once every other week, depending on assignments and things like that, to just kind of go over where we're at and what needs to be done that week.
Yeah, okay, great.
For me, I had 2 office hours a week, and I held them in the library. And a lot of times people wouldn't come to them, so I would just get 2 hours to do homework. But if they did come, it was nice to be able to help them out. with that, but I also graded assignments. I helped create some assignments with Dr. Case. And then once COVID hit, he wanted to use Lockdown Browser, but there was a student who with some like certain computers like Chromebook and stuff, they won't work. So I had to proctor the students' exams. So it was an interesting experience on Zoom and sharing her screen, and it was kind of like makeshift lockdown, but that was another one of my responsibilities. So you have to be kind of flexible and willing to help wherever you can. And then I met with Dr. Case once a week as well. So if you're thinking about what kind of time commitment that is, it's the meeting with your professor, your office hours. In person, I had to attend the class. Virtually, I didn't have to attend the class. And then any grading, assignment making, anything that you have to do throughout the week, any work that you've been assigned.
Do most of you attend the classes or did or whatever, or not, just out of curiosity? I think that one's kind of a hit or miss too, right?
I didn't last semester actually when it was in person. She didn't have us come, but this semester, just kind of when we're available, we kind of made a schedule of when we can come, me and the other TA. So I come on Tuesdays or every other Tuesday, and mainly for that it's just kind of watching the chat over Zoom, since that's different now, just in case she misses it or doesn't have to stop mid-lecture. I kind of just watch that, answer the chats, and anything else, any other questions that they have.
Nick, do you want to say a few words?
Yes. So, sort of my big two responsibilities this semester are involving grading writing assignments. So I'm just in charge of making sure students are following a general rubric and answering parts of the prompt. And it's really nice because I get to hear other perspectives. But I'm also working on finding resources to help supplement students' knowledge. So I've been working on finding a lot of different podcasts and Netflix documentaries to help sort of build new material to courses, especially the developmental ones.
Yeah. And Nick, what was I going to say? You know, I didn't know about that APA one, and now I've been telling all sorts of professors and other students, and that one's been excellent. So
it's very good. I listen to it every week.
Yeah, no, I get that. They've got some great podcasts. I may have to try and post them on some social media or something, so we let more people know about it. So yes, absolutely. Let's take a pause then, and we have about 8 minutes left before we roll into the research assistantship one, which several of you are going to rejoin me with. But students, do you have any questions for the TAs so far? I mean, you've heard some of the different roles and experiences. How about, if not, I have one, and which is, what is the most frustrating thing about being a TA? Yeah, look at your little faces.
I know one thing for me, especially now since I'm doing multiple classes as being a TA, I've kind of asked students many times to tell me which class they are in, and they still won't do that. And then also just kind of lots of emails about questions that have been addressed in class announcements and things like that.
Yeah, Allie, you had a look on your face.
Especially at first, I was put off by how few people attended my office hours, because I was like, I'm spending 2 hours of my week just waiting for you to come, and I can see your grades. I know you're struggling. Like, come to me, please. I will help you. But ultimately, I think it really wasn't bad at all. I enjoyed it a lot. The proctoring the exam on Zoom, that was a little awkward. Not gonna lie, that was a little weird. Watching someone do their exam. But other than that, it was overall a really positive experience. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you know, again, it's professional skills, because I think sometimes, you know, I mean, I know it happens to me too. I just want to say, like, I told you already. but this information is here or there or whatever, or, you know, or where are they, or, you know, it's, you know, but I mean, I think it does give you a lot of good perspective in the sense of, I think it helps the TAs get a sharper sense of their strengths as students, because it's usually good, solid students that we want as our TAs. So I think it helps you figure out, boy, I'm doing all right and pretty well in a few areas, right? And I think it also, though, it hones in those professional skills of kind of knowing, okay, how do I respond and what can I expect, and how am I, you know, I need to be patient, and I need to word things, you know, very clearly. I need to word things, you know, carefully, so I don't, you know, offend anybody or say anything that someone doesn't appreciate or something along those lines, right? The other thing too, to me, when you get to the point that you are tutoring somebody in a way, which is some of what you were doing, Allie, right? I mean, to me, that's a lot of people interested in clinical skills. Again, that's clinical skills, right? Because yeah, that idea of, I know you need help, and are you coming? And when you come, are you responsive to that help, or do you get frustrated? Do you get angry? Do you, you know, listen, not listen? Do you start doing better or not? And I mean, and I suppose there's always some spillover that you hear, you know, personal issues a little bit of why things are, you know, falling behind or that sort of thing. And there's confidentiality issues. Like I have my TAs for my critical thinking class. I have some students with some accommodations that I, you know, that I told the students you know, I will need to make the TAs aware. So, you know, to help so they can support you as well, right? So being, you know, maintaining confidentiality, privacy, you're seeing grades, you're seeing students with a variety of different issues, and you're working with students on a number of different levels as well as the professor. So yeah, I think that's good, everybody. Questions that you have?
I had a question. So, I don't know if any of you guys are also RAs as well on top of being TAs, but if you are, how would you like would you recommend that to a student? Like, is that I'm trying to formulate
Is
my
that kind of
sentence.
doable, right? Can you?
Yeah, is that doable? Like how does that work for you guys, like time management wise?
There's at least two of you doing that, right?
I'm an RA and a TA, and it was last semester I did 3 credit hours of lab, because you can choose if you do one, 2, or 3 credit hours. And I was also a TA, which is a 3 credit hour responsibility. And I was fine. I think I was taking like 18 credit hours last semester, and honestly, I found that those were more manageable together than 2 3 credit hour classes together. I think just because there's a lot more flexibility with that. A lot of it is like how you are at your own pace. So I'm doing my lab work when I have time to, and then I'm grading papers while I'm like hanging out with my friends and stuff. Like it's not super time, not quite as strict as like a class schedule. So I found it really manageable, and I would suggest both.
Yeah, I currently do both, and I think that it's I wouldn't say easy, but like it's a lot more manageable because like you're not having to study all the time and like learn new material. It's stuff that you already know that you're just like helping other people with, or like, so I think it's a lot less, I guess, time consuming. I guess it depends on how much you study and how much you do a lot of work, but it still obviously is a lot of work because you're grading stuff, but it's stuff that you tend to know how to do already.
Yeah, that's a good point, both of you. And I would say some of my TAs have said, I just, you know, I really love adolescent, or I really love aging, and I mean, I like hearing this again and really getting to know this, right? Or I get a kick out of my TAs, especially when we were in class. They would grab the exam from me, and I could hear the two of them like going through the answers to see if they could still answer it like a semester, you know? And they would get so excited, you know, like, wait a minute, now I don't remember, or this is a different kind of question, or did you put in some new material? Yes, kids, I did, you know, but I mean, that's so gratifying to see you all kind of get excited about the different material and things like that too. And yeah, I think both of you bring up a good point that while you know, those are two big responsibilities, TA and RA. They do afford some flexibilities that you wouldn't necessarily have in a class or with multiple, just packing into classes, so to speak. So yeah. Oh, I'm seeing I have 1 minute till the research assistantship. We can be a little late since I'm running that one too, but any other quick questions or anything that we can address for you all?
I have a question.
Oh, please go ahead, Mandy.
Okay, so a lot of you have mentioned that you gained your TA status by making an impression on your professor. And I find that this online platform, it's impossible to do that unless you make a meeting with a professor, but then I kind of feel like I'm wasting their time just to like chat them up, you know, like I don't like, that's like schmoozing, and I'm not that kind of person. Like I'd rather make my impact in person or due to a purpose. Like I don't want to just like call them and be like, or, you know, go into their Zoom meeting and just waste time when there's a student who might be struggling, you know. And I struggle in my classes, but I'm doing okay. Like I don't really, you know, need to bother them or take their time. So what do you think I should do to try to, you know, make that impression on them, to be like, hey, I'm a serious student. I'm not just here for any tomfoolery, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So luckily, I guess for me, I did kind of get to know my professor in person. But one thing I've noticed, especially in sitting in on classes while I'm TAing, that you can still kind of participate and try to have your camera on when you can, because then they'll see your face and remember. And just participate when you can. Like they'll ask you, okay, class, like what's the answer to this? Or how do you feel about this? Like, what do you think about this week? Anything like that. Try to answer it or put input. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask questions. But yeah, if they have maybe like virtual office hours or anything like that, you could always drop in and say, I really enjoy your class. I don't get this concept, or I enjoy your class. Are you looking for TAs? Anything like that. But yeah, just try to participate in class as much as you can.
See, like the problem with that is that all of my classes, you know, are asynchronous. Like up until yesterday, had no idea what Dr. Canavella looked like, you know?
No, right.
That's true.
So like, you know, I don't see my teachers. I don't like see my peers, you know, like this is probably the most interaction I've had in a while. So,
I'm sorry, Mandy, just to give you some feedback of seeing you across several of these, you definitely give a very good impression in terms of asking and active and engaged when people get to see you, right? I mean, because, you know, like two of my classes are synchronous, two of them are asynchronous, right? But I will say I've had some quick email exchanges with some students, and some of them have ended up being psych majors. One was anthro, one was a biology recently. And it's just, you know, I think little things that like somebody caught something, something interesting that I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like I literally, she asked me something about some wording on one of the PowerPoints, and this was for aging. And it spurred me to look up some research, you know, change the wording, think about that some more. And I emailed all this back to her, right? So, I mean, you know, I think it could be something kind of quote unquote as simple as that, that, you know, you say, this caught my attention. Is there more research on this? Or this caught my attention. Thank you for, you know, doing it in an organized way. Or, I mean, one student actually said, I'm terribly sorry. I'm going to be out of state during our exam time because I am trying to get a whitewater rafting guide certificate. And I'm like, I love whitewater rafting. So now we've bonded over, like, I've sent her some links over, like, getting certified as a wilderness therapist. You know? So, really doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much. And it's not like we're lonely and just waiting for emails to come through, but I think a lot of the faculty are hungry and miss you all. So when we do get like a thoughtful, good email of, I noticed this, I had a question about that, or I have this coming up or whatever, that does help. That does help kind of make those connections. But I agree. And on the flip side, I will say a lot of the faculty are saying to me throughout all of this, because we haven't seen each other in months either, right? We're saying to each other, we don't know how we're going to recruit our RAs, our TAs, our peer advisors, our practicum people. I mean, we're kind of in the same boat with you, right? So don't be afraid to reach out. And I think that can make a difference. And especially, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but since you can, now you can say, hello, Dr. Canavello, I'm in your, like you said, I was glad you did that. I'm in your class and I attended your talk. Can you tell me more about your research assistantship, right? Derek emailed me and said, I'm interested in Dr. Canavello's research. I think, what was it, Derek? You couldn't make it or something, right?
Yeah, I couldn't make it because the time for it was during my class. So yeah.
Sure. So since I've seen Derek now a couple of times all week long too, right? I said to Dr. Canavello, hey, I know a student who may be reaching out to you who's interested, right? So right now we're just kind of trying to connect any which way we can, but don't be shy to do that. Yeah. And I get it. And I believe you mean, we know the difference between chat it up, right? And but maybe like some quick kind of pointed, whether that's via Zoom or that's via email, can leave a good lasting impression, so yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to do this to us, but we're like 6 minutes late on our RA meeting. So I think I'm going to switch over to that. And I appreciate your time and questions. Reach out to faculty, think about the classes you are taking now, and that's a good place to start. Yeah. All right. Thank you all. Thank you, TAs. You're fabulous. Raven, glad to meet you again.
Likewise.
Thank you.